Cheyenne, can we say amazing? She always has like the right words to say at the right time. I don't know how she's blessed with this gift, but she has the best advice when you feel like nothing nobody can say to change their mind, and she has the words that we need to hear at that time. And she's determined. She is determined to help this community and be there for the girls. Anytime I needed help, she was there. And so I needed and looked for an accountability person, and she was my girl, and that's why I was so successful. You know, I thought alcohol was making me feel better, but I was getting more and more and more in this hole of depression, and I felt like I couldn't get out of it. Biggest realization through this program is that I didn't love myself. I hated myself. I was trying to get a sponsor. I couldn't find anybody to mesh with, because at that time I really felt like I needed to buddy up with someone and have an accountability partner. And then all of a sudden you came into my life, and exactly what you were offering is what I needed. Now when bad things happen, it's like I have the tools to deal with the stressful situation. I used to have people tell me everything's gonna be, Jen, everything's gonna be okay. Now I get to do that for myself. And I feel like everything's gonna be okay. I'm actually love myself, and it's taken a lot of work to get here, but it's so worth it. I would not change it for the world right now.
Thank you for coming all the way out here to Sunny Isles.
You're welcome.
Such a surreal feeling having Jen here with us, like in person. It's somebody who I usually look at a screen through, and now that she's like physically here, I can reach out, I can touch her, she's real. It's just so surreal. So I wanted to start off by asking, you know, what is it that got you sober? Like, where did you start realizing that you had a problem when it came to drinking, and what kind of led you to this point?
So there was a lot of factors, obviously, but the turning point where I knew I had to make like that decision of, you know, is this serving me anymore? Was the embarrassment of the actions I was doing when I was drinking. I became a different person because I felt more confident when I would drink, and I would feel more sociable. I feel like I could have those conversations. And then the next day we're like, oh, well, do you remember saying this or saying that? And I would be completely mortified of the words that came out of my mouth. And at the time I felt like, I got this, I'm doing so good, you know, like I don't have a problem. And then the stuff I was saying that obviously I was blacked out because I don't remember, but then it would like kind of come back to him, and I'm like, oh my God, I do remember saying that.
Yeah.
So after multiple times, and my husband, you know, he was like, Jen, this is really embarrassing for me. I didn't want to embarrass myself anymore or him. You know, he's a great guy and he didn't deserve that. But ultimately, I just, you know, I thought alcohol was making me feel better, but I was getting more and more and more in this hole of depression, and I felt like I couldn't get out of it. So ultimately, I was just kind of trying to dig out of this hole and just grabbing up for lifelines of, you know, what can I do to help myself to get out of this? Mm-hmm. And that's when I made a decision, you know what, at least I need to go at least 30 days of not drinking and see if we can, if this is the part of the issue. Because I really just felt lost and like something was missing in my life, and I was trying to fill a void at that time. I didn't know what it was. I just knew something's not right. This isn't working and I need to change.
And when you were first meeting me, what day were you at when we got together?
So I was about, I want to say 2.5 months sober when you reached out to me.
Right. And prior to that, what else have you tried, and why was that not as successful?
So at the beginning, I reached out to friends that I knew that had some sobriety under their belt just to see like what they did. And of course they're like, hey, go to AA, NA. And so I started going to meetings because at that point I was just reaching out to lifelines, just trying to stay sober because, you know, every part of my life, every birthday, there's a occasion every weekend, there's alcohol around me everywhere around my family. So I couldn't stay away from it. So I had to find the tools on my own to figure out like, what can I do to stay sober because this is really hard for me. So I started to go to NA and AA meetings, and I just didn't feel, love the program. I think it does a great thing. It just did not work for me because I was trying to get a sponsor. I couldn't find anybody to mesh with. And then, because at that time I really felt like I needed to buddy up with someone and have an accountability partner because I wanted to go through the steps. I felt like I needed, something was in me that I needed to pull out and fix it. So, at that time, you know, I was going to meetings and I asked one of my good friends, I'm like, hey, can you be my sponsor? And she said, I can't at this time because my sponsor doesn't think I'm ready yet. So I said, I totally respect that, you know, whatever you got to do for your sobriety. And I just kept trucking along and trying to figure it out, but something was not right. And I knew, yeah, I can stay sober. Yeah, but I needed more. I needed to have a lifeline. And then all of a sudden you came into my life, and exactly what you were offering is what I needed.
Right. And you had everything, you know, essentially on paper that looked perfect, right? You're this businesswoman. You have the husband, you have the kids, you have the house, you have the life that most people, you know, stem and admire to have for themselves. But there was still that thing that, you know, proves that you can have it all on paper. You can have everything that looks perfect, but there's still that thing that is holding you back. So after doing the program with me, what was one of the realizations that you realized was the problem and the issue from the past that transmitted into your future?
So you're right. I literally, on paper, like, I am very successful, and I did what my parents told me to do. Go to college, get a career, buy a house, you know, take care of your family, have your 8 to 5. I did it all. And I drank during that whole time. And my drinking became worse and worse because my stress became more and more, and I didn't know how to deal with my stress. So I thought, okay, well, I work hard, so I can party harder because I deserve it, because I, you know, accomplished this and I made this money and all this stuff. But ultimately, the biggest realization through this program is that I didn't love myself. I hated myself. And it took a lot of work to realize that, because I had to really peel back the onion layers to figure that out. And ultimately, before, you know, I started Sobriety 7, I thought about dying and I would just be better off without this world. And I truly did believe that. And now going through the program and, you know, digging deep and fixing myself and loving myself unconditionally, and now I don't think about suicide at all anymore. And that was a daily thing for me. I was thinking about it daily. And now I just love myself to the core. Like, oh my God, like, I'm such an amazing person. Like, how did I abuse myself for all these years? And now that I put myself first and really took care of myself, I'm such in a way stronger, better state that I'm able to be a better wife, a better mother, a better business owner. It absolutely flourished in all aspects of my different parts of my life.
When you started Sobriety 7, were you ready to make change? Because you had met me 2.5 months in and you were still having challenges in your life that weren't allowing you to love yourself, weren't allowing you to show up for your partner or show up for your business. You at the time were still doing the hygienist job, so it's like you weren't really even believing in yourself that you were capable of doing this next hurdle in your life. So were you ready for a challenge when you started?
At that time, I was ready for a challenge, but I wasn't fully confident that I could accomplish it, because I would start things and I would never follow through, especially with anything that had to do with myself, because I always put myself last. So say a job came up, well, I would put my work or my kids or my husband and put my stuff to the side and not work on my stuff. So at this time, I told my husband, I sat down with him, I said, if you really want me to change, I love you, but I'm going to have to be selfish and put myself first. And he supported that. So when I was able to put myself first, and I don't like to say the word selfish, but I put me first, and I didn't know if I could accomplish because I had set goals of getting to my birthday sober, becoming a morning person. I thought these were goals far-fetched that I would never be able to do that. So I had a very open mind, like, hey, I'm not going to beat myself up if I don't accomplish it, but I really, really want this, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. That was your initial mental hurdle was, I don't know if I could even do the morning person. I don't know if I can get to my birthday sober. But now that you've been in a system with, Sobriety 7 where you're able to, or a community of sisters, and being able to be vulnerable and tell your story and be in a place where you feel heard, it's now changed your fight or flight to, I can do anything I set my mind to. But now that you've shown up for yourself and you are a morning person, you've shown up and have made it to your birthday, what would you say the next challenge is now that you've, worked on your sobriety? Now it's like there's going to be a next hurdle. Like, what is that hurdle?
So yeah, it's going to be consistency for me. Yes, I got to this, but now I need to stay up on it because I'm so easy to, kick that out and go right back into my old ways. So my biggest next hurdle is, staying routine and, following through and making this a lifestyle. Not just like, okay, yay, I accomplished this. No, like making it my life. And I want to keep journaling too. So I believe one of the biggest breakthroughs for me was that pen to paper action and having me write. So I still want to keep writing. Like, even though my 75-day journals are up, I want to keep writing because I want to keep working through if I have a challenge for that day, like where did that stem from, because even though I would be on a topic that you would prep me for writing something, all of a sudden my brain's going into something completely south that I wasn't even know it was coming up, but it was the magic of the pen to paper. Yeah. So I want to keep going on with that too, as well.
Yeah, you definitely took the journal serious, and I know that when you do that pen to paper, you do find things out about yourself that you weren't even necessarily writing about to begin with. And that's what is amazing about journal prompts, because it'll trigger a different part of your brain. And with that being said, what were some of the realizations, those like aha moments that Steph talks about, that you realized when you were writing in the past, like the things that came up from the past? What were some of those things that even led you to drinking?
So, good question. I want to say, like, I had some traumas, as a teenager. I've been sexually abused. I've been abused by my exes. I've been taken advantage of. I've had people crawl through my windows in the middle of the night. So really traumatic things. And I grew up, you just push it to the side and you move on. That's life. Bad things happen, move on. I never talked to them. I literally never told anybody. I kept it and I kept it down. And so like the first 3 weeks of me being sober, all of a sudden I started getting these flooded memories, and it was overwhelming. Like, if that is a chance to relapse, that's when you're going to relapse. And so at that time, I just cried it out. I found somebody that I could confide into, and I put those burdens, those deep, deep secrets that I've been keeping in, and I told somebody. And it was hard and it was not easy, but I do feel like that was a big breakthrough through my journey. And then the journals, it's like I had to detail some things, and coming down to, it did not feel good. I sat in my feelings and I did not run this time, because I'm such used to running from my problems or sweeping them under the rug. And I actually had to write it out. I had to sit in my feelings, and I had to, work through it. And the biggest realization was that aha moment. It was, I'm angry. I am mad. The things that happened to me were not fair, and life's not fair. And but you can forgive yourself, because I blamed myself for all these years of what happened to me. It was my fault because I put myself in that position, and I came to realize I don't have to be mad at Jen anymore. Jen's a strong ass bitch that can take on anything, and I love myself and I can forgive myself now. And that was huge for me because I didn't realize how much I was mad at myself.
No, absolutely. I remember starting out with you. You were very angry at yourself, or very, fight or flight would kick in, like in overdrive. Something would, happen, and then it would be a really big reaction because you didn't necessarily know how to go through the motions of it. And this is what drinking will do. Drinking will, tell you that you're going to suffer forever and that there's no way out. But it's when you stop drinking that you really do realize that you can free yourself and learn to love yourself like you have, which is amazing. And not everybody gets to that step because, like you said, in those first 3 weeks, this is when people will drink because it's a lot of pressure to not only get past the things that have hurt you and held you back for so long in the past, that anchor that is just taking you down for so many years. And the longer you try to run away from it, the faster it keeps catching up to you and the bigger that problem and issue becomes. So the fact that you were able to get past that hurdle really shows other people that it's possible. You just need to be able to sit in it and go through it, because the best way out of those feelings of hatred towards yourself are through it. And that's something extremely beautiful and huge that you did for yourself. And, anybody who is watching, like, that's what I want a big takeaway to be, is that you just got to go through it, man. Like, I fought for years trying to run away from it. And it wasn't until that I actually faced my things that had, not been something that I wanted to stare at the face. But when you stare at them and you punch them and you kick them in the face, you get through it. But it's really hard to get to that point. And I think that community really does help that.
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you touched on that, because a big part of when I felt like I had nowhere to go and nobody would get me, I would jump on school and I would write to my sisters in Sobriety 7 and be like, hey, I am going through this right now. Like, please help, or just some type of feedback or something. And there was support there, instantly. Not like I had to wait the next day to go to a meeting and express it. I was right then in my feelings and I got to put it out on school. And then it was like a release of, okay, I got it out, and now I have my community that I can fall back onto, because I do go worst case scenario. When anything bad happens, I've been in such fight or flight because I've been in such survival mode, because I've always had to take care of myself and be like a strong person, that I would always go worst case scenario, and then I would live in anxiety. And that's why I would tend to drink, because that would be, in my brain, the only thing that could relax me. And now that I'm sober, and I was like, I'm still getting these feelings, what do I do? Well, 1, you sit on them. 2, you don't go worst case scenario. Everything's gonna be okay. I don't know why I did that for all my life, but, it's still a work in progress. I'm not perfect, but I'm really trying to train my brain of, things are going to be okay.
Yeah. And it's amazing what you said, is train your brain, right? A lot of the time it's instinctual for us to go worst case scenario and like the world is falling the fuck apart. And then we have to remind ourselves that's the media, that's society, that's everything around us that will convince us of that. And sometimes we have to not look at where they're telling us to look and look the other way and realize that life is happening for me and it's not happening to me. And everything that's happening right now is an opportunity to learn not only about myself, but learn about a new challenge that I may face and overcome that through the adversity that I had faced in my past. Because if I faced all that, I can face whatever is to come. And that's something that I know that you've come from a lot of adversity, especially with, the sexual abuse and the having to keep yourself at a higher stature, right? As a woman, as a business owner, as a mom, there's so much social pressure as a wife. And let alone, it's like, well, what about Jen? No wonder you put yourself aside for so many years because you were so focused on making sure that you got the approval of everybody else.
Correct.
Rather than the approval of your own self and really giving a shit about, like, now that I step back, I'm not being selfish. It was selfish for me to not show up as the best version of myself every single day.
Yeah.
So now that I'm doing the inner work, it's changing my external world, opposed to changing things externally, being a better mom here, being a better wife, getting a different job, getting a car, getting all these things externally, opposed to what happened in the past. How did it get me to this point where I think blacking out is my only escape? And how did I get to a point where having these suicidal thoughts was something that I thought was normal and that I was different? But then you and I meet and we were both having the same thoughts, thinking, what was wrong with me? And it wasn't what was wrong with me. It was what did I not fix? What did I not look at? A lot of us who have addiction issues stem from being a people pleaser. And when you're pleasing everyone else, who's the one person you're not pleasing?
Yourself.
And when you don't fill up your cup and you don't show up for yourself, the first thing you're going to want to do is fill that cup, in our case with Celsius, but before it was whatever alcohol we could get. And that's because we were neglecting the one person that matters the most. And that's not selfish thinking. That's, I'm showing up for myself first because that's going to enable me to give the best version of myself to the world and to my kids and show up in a real way where I'm not having to escape because all I've ever done is be a good mom and be a good wife and a business owner. Now I'm able to see that putting time and energy into myself has helped my mindset. I no longer have suicidal thoughts, which is good for my kids, good for my husband, because I will be around longer.
Yeah.
And the longevity of my life is going to be so much longer now that I've eliminated this thing that was holding me back, and this thing was drinking. And, I know that you're at your 5-month mark, and just seeing how much you can accomplish in 5 months, opposed to the, like you said, you're like, it's been the 20 years where I'm like, that's crazy. This is my first sober birthday. And it's monumental what you're doing. And it's like, I knew at one point.
It's okay.
Because it's like,
you're going to make me cry.
Because it's like, I can resonate with that so hard. Where it's like, you don't fucking see a way out. And it's like, the best way out is through. And you get to this point in your life where, it's like, I was really thinking like that was it. Like, I had lost my dad and I had lost a lot of my family members, and it was all during the pandemic, and the pandemic fucked a lot of us up.
Yeah.
And just seeing how much progress you've made, it's like, it gives me hope for other people who feel like they're so fucking alone. Because I tried AA, I tried NA, and I think they're beautiful programs, but it didn't work for me. And it only made me think I was even more alone, that I'm like, how is this thing that's been around for hundreds of years not working for me? Like, one diet might fit and work for someone, right? Someone might be on keto, but my body doesn't necessarily love it. And so that was my thing with AA. So when I decided, I'm going to make this program and give, what I wanted when I was getting sober to other people, and just seeing what you've been able to accomplish in 5 months, from going from suicidal thoughts to thinking this is the end and feeling like you're stuck. And I know we're not the only ones. A lot of the women in the community have had these thoughts, because that's what drinking will do. It'll make you feel like you're stuck forever and it's not going to get better. And the fact that you pulled yourself out of that is just...
I was stuck in a cycle. Mm-hmm. And it was a cycle with abusing myself, a cycle with hating myself, a cycle with feeling like I'm going to die, a cycle of I'm stuck forever here, I'm never going to be happy. And I had the best loving, supporting people around me, and I still felt alone. I had my own demons, that I had to fight. And I just want to let all the people out there, if I can do it, I know you guys can too. I'm a testament. Like, I just want to give hope to people that, feel hopeless. You can do it. And I'm a testament to it. And all you got to do is fight for you. I fought for me. I wasn't giving up. Even though I felt like giving up, I didn't want to give up because I still had my kids and my husband. And the selfish thing was me thinking about death and leaving them. That was my selfish part. Me at that time thinking me getting sober and putting me first was selfish. No, that was actually the biggest gift to them.
And you had everything on paper, but this is a lot of people. I've met a ton of people who have multi-million-dollar companies, who are married to extremely beautiful people, have an amazing family, right? You have Robert Williams, right? And then what did he do? He took his own life, because if you don't fill that void inside of you that makes you feel empty, it doesn't matter externally what you have, because it's your soul that keeps you alive. And if your soul feels soulless, you're just alive. You're not living. And there's a difference, right? It's wanting to actually be living rather than just having a life, just because I have this life and I don't know what I'm doing with it. That hole, that emptiness, that void, until you figure out how to fill that. And it's not through drinking. We've realized that.
Yeah.
Drinking does not fill that void. It only makes you feel even more empty and gets you to such a low vibrational state where you're like in suffrage, in misery, in pain, in shame and guilt. And it's like, that's not a fun place to be. It's like, we want to be at a higher state, a higher, vibration. And the only way to get there is to finally put the bottle down, step aside from it, and be like, I need to just face it. And it's hard when you're facing it alone, but now because of Sobriety 7, right? It's given you, who in the beginning I was actually very intimidated by. I was like, I don't know if I'm breaking through to Jen. Like, she's got like such a fucking wall up, man. Like, I don't know. And then one week you just like randomly called me, like, hey, like, I'm hot. I'm like, who the shit is this? Like, what happened to my Jen? She's taking cold showers. She's waking up at 5 a.m. I'm like, and if I can feel like I've encouraged change in you, then I know that you plus me can encourage change in others, and so on and so on. And it's just this butterfly effect. It's this rippling of one good person's action into the next and into the next. And it's having that overpouring, sensation. Like, my cup is so full now. I've healed a lot of things. And it's like you said, I'm still healing. I'm still working on myself as you are. And that's the beautiful part of life, is you can always continuously improve the quality of your life by improving the qualities of yourself. Communication, relationship to self, activities that fill up your day that aren't drinking, making a life so extraordinary that you never want to escape it, right? You're over here in Miami and you're like, we're going to go feed raccoons. We're going to go get like 3 bundles of bananas. We're going to go kayaking. We're going to go out to eat. And it's just, you're making a great life.
I feel like I'm living again. Like, I always imagined this life that I'm living right now. I always dreamed of it. I just can't believe, like, I feel like I got to pinch myself that I'm actually walking through it. I really feel that I broke the chains of this nasty depression, dark cloud that was over me. I broke through, I broke the chains, and I feel free. I truly, truly feel free from myself, if that can make any sense to you. But that's how I feel right now. Like, I just like, watch out, world, because I feel unstoppable.
It's amazing. It's you showing up for yourself, like, and not just like half-ass showing up for yourself, half hungover, like kind of like dragging yourself through life. Like, no, now you're like up and perky and like ready for whatever's to come your way. You're like, sure, like, I have things in my life that are still hard, right? You have things still to this day that we've spoken about that it's like, these are challenges, but you're handling it in such a better state of mind, right? Even with like your Oma, it's like, I get to actually be there for her, and I get to show up for her the way that she showed up for me as a kid, and to be able to pass that back to her and be able to be there and help her. It's like, you realize I wouldn't be able to help her the way I am if I had still been drinking.
For sure. And that's like when bad things happen, it's like I have the tools to deal with the stressful situation. And I'm able to, walk myself through it. And then, I'd still have to process, I learned that about myself I still have to process. And then I get a game plan. And I'm like, you know what? Okay, this is how we're gonna, attack it or address it. And we're gonna be okay. I used to have people tell me everything's gonna be, Jen, everything's gonna be okay. Because I would panic, and so I would have to seek approval of everything's gonna be okay. Now I get to do that for myself. And I feel like everything's gonna be okay.
It's amazing. And in doing that, you're a mother, you're a wife, and it's like, now you get to work on just like having the relationship with your partner and not having to have him tell you it's okay. It's like we eliminated all that time, like, because I'm now telling myself it's okay.
Yeah.
And it's teaching your children too, like, hey, let's not go worst case scenario. Like, whatever is happening, like, we're going to be able to figure it out, because there is always a solution, right? Until we take our last breath, there's a solution to our worry, to our struggles, to our challenges. We can overcome most things because humans are fully equipped with everything that we need to get to where we need to go inside of us already. And it's just having that realization that I've always been enough. I've always had everything I need. The only thing that was getting in my way and stopping me from where I want to go was myself. I was holding me back. And that's wild to think. It's like no one was holding you back. It was just you holding yourself back from getting to that state of like, hey, like, I don't need to go worst case scenario. Everything will be fine. Like,
yeah. And then touching on that, like at the beginning of the program, there is this rebellious side of an addict that anytime you give them a object or a goal to do, there is some resistance. And you have to like work through yourself to be like, why am I resisting this? This is what I'm, good for me. So, at the beginning it was hard because I was battling, like, I don't want to do these journals, or I don't want to tell myself I love myself because I'm lying. And I was like, you know what, Jen, do I really want this or not? So I better put up or shut up, and I better get through and do what Shay is telling me to do.
Put up or shut up. And with that being said, I know, even just to touch on the rebellion part, right? We have a lot of people who are, going to be watching who are drinkers. And we have all been through that hurdle of, I miss the chaos. Would you say the chaos trumps the peace of mind, or how do you feel about the two?
Oh, that's what I was creating in my life. That's what I was fight or flighting. And because I was so used to chaos, I didn't know anything else. I didn't have freedom. I didn't have peace. Now that I'm in peace and freedom, I will never, that's what's keeping me sober now. But it took I want to say a good 4 months to get out of that state of mind of constantly needing chaos to feel pushed or, goal motivated. Now it's like, no, I want peace. My body wants peace. My heart wants peace, not just for physical, because I really do believe that causes like heart problems in people, that's high stress. I was at a 10 on stress all the time. But no, I want to be happy. And that's what's keeping me sober today. I don't want to go back to chaos.
All right. Cortisol levels were through the freaking roof.
Yeah.
You're just stressed at like 9 out of 10, like all the time. And that's not good for your body, not good for your mind, not good for your heart, soul, any of it. And it's good to be at that peace of mind. But I would say around month 4, like, you're like, damn, like, because there was always that part, before that's like, oh, chaos. Like, am I being boring now? It's
yeah.
Like, you're not boring. You're just not destroying your fucking life.
Yeah.
It's like, cool. So, like, we're actually getting somewhere in life now.
Yeah, because you do question yourself, like, am I a boring person? Like, I was so fun. And no, I'm fun, actually sober too. But it is a transition. You have to be more comfortable with yourself, but that comes with time.
Yeah.
And then you start to love yourself. And you're like, I'm freaking funny. Oh my gosh. Like, I don't need alcohol.
I'm hot.
Yeah.
Hot@hotmail.com.
I can go and hang out and go dancing, and I enjoy drinking water. Like, my hair, my nails, like my skin, at the beginning I would drink like Celsius or Diet Coke, or, have those cookies to like reward myself, like, hey, I'm not drinking today. That's a win. But I am gonna divulge in a Coke Zero.
Yep.
Anything to substitute, that craving or whatever. But I do highly suggesting like something that, that you can kind of substitute where you still feel like you're having fun and it's bubbly and it's flavorful, but it's not alcohol.
Yeah, and I'm impressed by how many non-alcoholic beverages are out there. I was talking to Katie and she's like, yeah, I got like these non-alcoholic wine. She's like, it was actually pretty good while I cook, because we still want to feel that aspect of being an adult and being able to order a drink. This drink just doesn't have to be the gateway to what ruins your fucking life. It's like you can order a mocktail and you still get the same dopamine rush from ordering that or making yourself a fizzly bubbly, right? Like I put my Celsius or I put my electrolytes. Like hydrating is so like, people aren't as aware of it, right? It's like, I went to the doctor and they told me like I was dehydrated. I'm like, I drink a gallon of water a day. Like, well, do you have coconut water in it? Do you have electrolytes? Are you actually hydrating? And it's like you start to prioritize when you get sober more of your health. Like, I want to go to the dentist. Like, I want to get like, my blood work done. I want to see what my hormone panels are. Like, I want to improve the quality of my life. And it's like before, when you're treating your body like trash, you're like, I'll eat Taco Bell at 3 a.m. and I'll wake up and I'll have Dunkin' Donuts. It's like you just treat your body like a trash can, and there is that in between, right? Like from getting sober, that you're still kind of indulging in not the best things. Like I would eat cookies on a regular because I'm like, I need something. It's not tequila, so I would still justify the fact that I was eating as many cookies as I was.
And with that, I did get to a very heavy weight. I was 250 pounds at my highest weight, and it all had to do with drinking. I was in denial at that time because it was anything but drinking. I'm going to change my diet. I'm going to work out twice a day. But I was still drinking. I wasn't losing the weight. I kept gaining more and more and more. And so for me, it wasn't just alcohol. I was addicted to a lot of different things. I just have that personality, whatever made me feel good. So it was food for a while. It was smoking weed. It was partying, getting the likes off social media. Like when I broke free of everything, I broke free of all that too. I don't feel like I need the materialistic things in life. I don't need the acceptability from social media anymore. I really don't care. Because I'm so content with myself that it just doesn't, I don't look for that out of, from somebody else, that gratification. I'm not looking for that anymore. But that was a journey too of having to lose that weight was really hard too. And I've lost 65 pounds, but because I thought that was the issue. Oh, Jen's not happy because I'm overweight. Well, I lost the weight. Well, Jen's not happy because I have XX skin now. Well, I got the skin cut off. Well, Jen's still not happy. So what the fuck's wrong? Oh my gosh. It's because I hated myself and I drank to fill that void. So now that all that's gone and I went through everything, it's like I'm actually love myself. And it's taken a lot of work to get here, but it's so worth it. I would not change it for the world right now.
You can validate yourself now, and I see it. You don't need, like you said, I remember you telling me the story about your car. Like, I can get like the fancy car, I can get the ideal car that I actually need and want. Like, I no longer am trying to, get the approval of others, the validation, because I'm not validate seeking anymore. Now it's like I validate myself because I truly love myself and I show up for myself and I'm doing what it takes in order to be proud of myself. And that was what was holding me back before, is I was doing and living for everyone else opposed to living for myself. And when you do that flip, you realize that you came into this world literally with everything you need. You came into this world alone with your naked body, and that was it, and you're going to leave the world just the same way.
Yeah.
So you can't take all these material things that you think will make you happy. It's, you know, getting stuck in social media, getting stuck in looking at other people's lives and where they are, rather than, you know, letting comparison be the biggest killer of joy. Compare yourself, if to anyone, to your previous self. I used to be blacked out, you know, making 98-year-old ladies at the dance floor fall over at a wedding I went to. Now I'm purposefully and intentionally moving through life where I can not only help myself, but living to serve others.
Yeah.
Because I've now served myself to the point where I'm like, my cup is overflowing. I don't know what to do with all this extra liquid. So now I want to pour into your cup, and you're pouring into other girls' cups. And I just love what you did for Valentine's Day. Like, I still have I was beating my partner with the lavender stick you gave me. I was like waking him up, but with lavender. I was like, wake up! And he's like, are you beating me? It smells like lavender in here. Like, I just think that you're so giving, and you've always had that, but now you're giving from a place not, you know, to seek anyone approving you or loving you, but you're like, I just want to give.
Yeah, no, it was definitely like, it was like an energy that I wanted to give positivity and hope to other women that are in this group, and say, like, you know, you are loved. And guess what? Here's a note for yourself to write to yourself, how much you love yourself. Because that was around the aha moment. Like, oh my gosh, like, I just hate myself. And that's why I've been having all these issues. Like, it was me.
Yeah.
It wasn't all this other pointing the finger at everybody else. It was me.
Yeah.
This whole time. And so yeah, I love that. And then the amount of money that I'm saving. Oh my gosh, that's why I'm here in Miami. And you know, from the trip of the airport, I'm like, okay, I would have done this. I would have gone to the bar. When I landed, I would have picked this up. And every single time, like, we have saved so much money on this trip, how this is our first sober vacation, you know? And so it's been great. Like, I'm just so happy. It's just filling all the different cups in all my different life. And now I'm getting people that have known me from a very long time and see me now, and they have reached out for me, and they just tell me how proud and that I'm an inspiration to them, and that is making my last few days amazing. Like, I didn't realize that people were watching my journey. You know, it's just one of those things. I don't really post a lot, but I didn't realize that people were watching, and they've been tracking my journey, and I think that's beautiful. And if I can help one person, that would be amazing.
I think you've helped me, you know, you've allowed me to believe in myself even more. Just seeing how you were able to transition your life into what it is, that makes me believe that what I'm doing is actually, because that was my biggest thing. I'm like, I just need to help one person. I need to make right from what I believed and carried guilt with me from not being able to help my father, even though it wasn't ever my job to take care of him as his daughter and be his parent. You've now given me that beacon of light, you know, at the end of the tunnel that I've been searching for and looking for, and just seeing your results come through from you just showing up and taking this seriously and taking yourself seriously, and realizing, like, not only the amount of money you're saving, but the amount of time you're creating for yourself again. Yeah. You're being able to have a life where you're living and being able to do things that you wouldn't have necessarily cared about before, because you were more worried and concerned about, what drink am I going to have tonight?
Literally, that led my life. Like, I would design my outfit, what restaurant we go into, all over the cocktail. What am I in the mood for? Okay, let's do margaritas. Okay, let's do taco night. I can totally look at the salsa. We can go salsa dancing. You know, my whole life was around alcohol, which is so sad looking back now. Like, I can't believe I wasted all that time and money back then, but I can't do anything. It's only moving forward, you know, that I got to look at this beautiful journey. But you gave me a safe space. That was, I think, one of the most important things too. You gave me a safe space that I felt comfortable, that I could literally be genuine. I could be truthful with myself, and a place where I could be truthful with other women, and share my story. So thank you for that. I will always be grateful for you, and I really am genuine about that.
I could feel it. I feel like this is like a good therapy hour for us both. Like, 'cause I feel like we're covering a lot of topics here. And, you know, you said something about, like, having the place where you can feel safe. And I don't remember it always, like, hated, like, oh, safe place. But it's like, we need that because this world lacks authenticity and genuinity.
Yeah.
And I was like, rather than continue to cry about the things that the world does not provide, let me provide it and see if anyone else needs it. And let me reach out to the people who are following the social media. And you had said something that, really stuck out to me. And people weren't necessarily telling you, wow, I'm really following your journey, or wow, I'm looking at you. And when I put my social media up and I saw how many people were saying all these positive things about like, wow, so proud of you, how brave of you, how courageous, but not having people in my regular day-to-day life tell me that, it sticks out to me because, people aren't necessarily at your door knocking saying like, hey, really proud of your change and growth. Not necessarily because they don't see it, but sometimes people don't necessarily want to see other people winning. No. And this group, this community really promoted that and really gave not only you, but the other women a place where they feel heard. And I think that we need more people to do that because it's going to allow the world to not feel so much hatred in their heart. Because when you were hating yourself, you were probably hating other people and not even really realizing it, like being more angry or short-tempered or lack of patience because you weren't necessarily having that for yourself.
Oh, I was completely jealous of people that love themselves. Like, and I didn't realize that until afterwards. I was a hater with people that were taking care of themselves and being, putting themselves first. And now I'm like, I was salty about it because I wanted that. But I just didn't know how to get there. And what was great is like, you were like, okay, Jen, you want to do this? Yes, I want to do it. Sign me up. I don't even know what the hell I was signing up. You go, I'm sending you your first journal. Boom. It's like day one, you're putting in the work already. You want to change? Let's get going. And that's how I am. I'm an all or nothing type of person. So I was either all in or not all in, which at that time I was like, I want to be all in because I want to change.
Yeah. And it starts with you wanting that change. Like, it's not the weight that makes you not happy. It's not the job or the car or the things that don't make you happy. It's internalizing. Why do I hate myself? Why do I not feel I'm enough? Why do I feel the way I do about myself? But it's really hard to have that realization when you don't actually put in the work. You don't do the journals. You don't look inward rather than pointing your fingers at everyone else saying, like, I'm not where I want to be because of them or my environment or how I grew up, right? It's like, you're so quick to not like the people showing up for themselves because hurt people hurt people. And it's such a good saying, and it's such a good metaphor because I was a hurt person and I would talk shit about the people who would drink the morning matcha and go do yoga or Pilates. Yeah. I'm like, oh wow, must be really nice.
While
like,
I'm
taking a shot.
Yeah, drinking my mimosas.
Fucking bitch.
Yeah. Why does she have the nice body and going and putting work in, What, am I just going to just get it with, sitting there drinking? No.
But that anger will fuel you. And that's a lot of people. So now that I'm on the other side of it, right, realizing the grass isn't green on the other side. The grass is greener where you water it. And now that I'm standing on my nice little patch of green grass, I'm realizing that the people who project their feelings onto me, whether that's family or friends or people in my inner circle who don't necessarily want to see me grow, I realize that it's their inability to water their own grass and that they're just mad that they're like, I want to be there. So rather than being hateful or resentful towards them, rather opening up my arms and being like, come here, like give me a hug. Let me listen to you. Let me allow you to feel heard because 9 out of 10 times people are just angry, not at you, but at themselves for not knowing how to get there.
And you know what? I had to put boundaries up, for toxic people. I had to put boundaries up. I had to protect myself during this journey. And that was part about loving myself. I actually was like, you know what? I'm going to be selfish right now because that was my way of saying that I was selfish. And I just had to have healthy boundaries. I couldn't care what Schmo Joe was saying about here or the drama over here, my family issues over here. I had to step back and be like, that's their issue. I can't control that. Sorry. I need to focus on me.
Exactly. Putting those walls up. And it's not a permanent state. And that's what people feel like, what am I supposed to rid that they have that future thinking? Like, well, what about in the future? Like, I'm never supposed to talk to my mom again, or I'm not supposed to talk to my best friend of 12 years. It's, no, right now, you need to focus on yourself because what you were doing before wasn't working.
Yeah.
When you were putting everyone else, and where were they then, right? When I have all these videos of me blacked out drunk looking a fool, I'm like, where were my friends then? Not that it was their job, but I'm like, I realized that nobody is coming for you. You have to show up for yourself because only you know the suffrage that you're feeling. People on the outside, they didn't know how much I was suffering. They just looked at me like, oh, she's just a drunk fool. Like, she's just being Cheyenne. But no, I was really hurt and I had no idea how to handle it. And then that's what led me to those really dark thoughts and being in a dark place, because not only did I know how much I was suffering, I knew that nobody knew, because I didn't feel like I was able to be open and be vulnerable with them and with myself and be real with myself. Rather, I kept saying, no, it's because like I don't have this job yet, or I'm not here in life, or there's this 20-year-old on YouTube making like 200 million. Like, what is wrong with me? And kept thinking it was everyone else when it was always me from the start. And that's a lot of people not realizing like, hey, maybe I'm the issue and I need to do that inner work to get a different result externally. So setting those boundaries, like you said, are so healthy, especially when it's preserving the energy that you have.
And I have to say, like, one of my good friends that knew the change that I was doing, I have to say thank you to Carrie. Like, she is the reason why you reached out to me, you know? So I will always give where credit's due, because if it wasn't for her, she wouldn't have led you to me. And I believe it's by the grace of God that we are sitting here today. Mm-hmm. Things, you know, work out for a reason. And I was supposed to be a part of your life, and she was supposed to reach out to you. So yeah. I'm just like so thankful and grateful where I sit today. I really am.
Shout out to Carrie. Yeah, no, I do believe that everything happens for a reason, right? Whether that be God or the universe or whatever higher power you believe in that has led you to this point. I know that things don't just happen for a reason, right? They happen for you to take that from. That's why I always mention that story of God and the drowning man, right? He's like, man's drowning. Guy says, get on the boat, I'll save you. You know, the guy says, no, it's okay, God will save me. Second guy, or the second boat comes, says, get on the boat. He's like, no, I'm good. Like, up to the water to here. He's like, God will save me. Guy dies, drowns, and gets to the gates of heaven. And he's like, why didn't you save me? He's like, well, I sent you 2 boats.
Yeah.
I sent you the signs. You just weren't looking. And so that was the biggest thing with me was, I had so many signs, but I was so intoxicated all the time that I was like, no, I just drank too much that night.
Yeah.
I got arrested because like my tags were expired. But no, I chose to drink and drive. I chose to put not only myself in danger, but the people on the road that night. And luckily, and thank God, I didn't kill myself or kill a family of 5, but I easily could have, because I decided in that moment that the world was against me and that I had this harder upbringing and that they didn't. But a lot of people struggle in very similar ways. And that's what this community has brought light to me is, wow, we all struggled in some degree.
We all have a story.
We all have a story.
Everybody has a story. And that's what we have to figure out. You know, we are in control of our future story. And that's what I chose to do, is take my story, hopefully inspire, you know, somebody, and that anything is possible.
You are in control of your future. You know, the past was written, but tomorrow we can write by setting ourselves up today. And I think your story will help a lot of people. And I think just the fact of where you were, right, this perfectly painted, what seemed like life, and then inside the misery that you felt, but being able to finally overcome that challenge and now just show up not only for everyone else, like you continue to do, but showing up for yourself in the realest way possible, and being able to look at yourself in the mirror and be like, I don't need validation from likes. I don't need the fancy car. I don't need the whatever it may be.
Yeah.
You're like, I am content with myself because I genuinely love Jen.
Yeah.
And I think that that's amazing. If you were to give your previous self any advice as to how you got here, maybe quicker, what would you tell that previous version of yourself?
I wish I could give Jen a hug and just say to love yourself. I wish I could have learned that a lot younger. But what I am doing is I'm teaching my kids that young. I'm going to give that gift so they don't have to go through life, what I went through. I want them to learn young about loving themselves and not being so hard on themselves. And they don't have to be perfect. They don't have to get the likes. So you know, it's fun because some of the journals and some of the projects I'm doing with my kids so they can learn how to, you know, be aware of that too. So that's what I would tell my younger,
I love that.
older self.
Getting a better understanding as to who you are. And I think that's amazing that you said that, because that's why I like to do the assignments, right? The island, the who am I not, right? Like all these questions that really make you look inward and be like, who am I outside of a mom? Who am I outside of a wife? Like, who is just Jen? Just like before she got here, who was she then and what did she grow into?
Yeah, because I really did not know myself.
Yeah.
Like, I thought I knew myself, but going back those onion layers, you really get to like learn yourself. And yeah, it was cool. It was a cool journey to discover and meet Jen, my real self. And I'm pretty fucking awesome.
You are pretty fucking awesome. You are. And she's hot. If you were just to finish and wrap this up, what would be any advice for somebody who is on the edge of starting their sobriety journey, who is at the lowest point in their life? What would be one tip of advice that you would tell that person as to continue and just start?
Day by day. Just, you know, give yourself grace and fight for yourself. Fight for you, because nobody's going to do it for you.
Nobody's coming for you. Hate to break it to you. It's not morbid. It's just true. Like,
Yeah.
you can be loved by everybody, but you know yourself better than anybody in this world. And so if you show up for yourself, you're going to really do some serious change.
Yeah.
And I think that's amazing. And I love that you came out here. And I know it wasn't all just to meet me, but I'm glad that you know, included me in your journey of being out here and just getting to know you over these past couple of months and just really, you know, genuinely giving a shit about somebody else's life and understanding like who you are and hearing your stories of your past and what all you've had to overcome. It's not only inspiring and motivating, but just so life-altering for me to have somebody, you know, trusted me enough to be able to be vulnerable and share their story and share such a big part of something that most people would be shameful of and be guilty about. Like, our past of drinking is never a beautiful story.
No.
It's never like, oh my God, I was this amazing person. I also donated to charity. No, it was like, I was like doing horrible things.
Yeah.
So the fact that you shared those vulnerable stories with me and opened up a huge part of yourself, like to a complete stranger, essentially, brought together by Carrie, but you made me realize that there are a lot more people out there who want to be heard and who want to tell their story. So it inspires me to continue going and continue learning about other people and where it is they are. And if I could be that light that has inspired you, I know that you could be that light who can inspire somebody else. And I'm just so excited to see where your journey is going to lead you. And I'm just like shaky because I'm like, it's just a beautiful process to see somebody go from like what seems like the gutters of their life to being like, no, I'm walking on the street. I actually have shoes on now. And I'm like actually going through life joyful and cheerful and ready to handle the challenges that life is going to bring me. Because if there's anything I could take away from my sobriety journey is life doesn't just stop being hard.
No.
It still continues to be hard, but it's like what you said, you finally have the tools that we weren't taught in grade school or taught by our parents as to how do you cope. Like, imagine a world where alcohol wasn't an option. Imagine we actually had to all figure out how to go through our challenges, right? And I saw that firsthand when I met my partner who doesn't drink, and he's like, no, if I want to dance, like, I just dance. If I want to do this, I just do this. I'm like, without drinking, we're clear on that. But how do you deal with anger or stress or time, like, and then I realized that this is a possibility, right? And so just want that for everybody to realize that there is ways to go through your challenges in life without drinking, and there's ways to go through celebrating your life without drinking. It's your birthday. You're not over here pounding shots. You're like, no, I went to like a kick-ass Japanese spot. I went and got some food. We're going out to Porterhouse after this. Like, there are other ways to celebrate your life than getting so intoxicated where you don't know who or what the fuck you are, right?
Yeah, or feeding everybody shots at the bar.
Yeah, you want a shot? You
Yeah.
become Oprah of shots.
Yeah, I
you get a
was.
shot,
And
you get a
yeah,
shot,
literally.
and you. Who are you again? Oh, we're best friends. We met 5 minutes ago. But this is what I want
Tell
out
me
of
your
life.
life story.
Like a real genuine connection with somebody and really actually understanding someone from a different side of the world.
Yeah.
Or United States.
And that's what's beautiful about Sobriety 7, the girls, like everything is genuine. Like there's no hate. Everybody's going through their own journey, and it's like real conversations with real people.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Like I get my cup filled when I look forward to going to the meetings.
I do too.
And seeing the girls and seeing what everybody's wins and what they're struggling with, and it's hard for me not to talk to every single person every single time, but
it's an amazing experience, and it's just also new and in the incubation state, right? And I just know that this thing can grow into like what we talked about, to having the retreats, to having the speaking events, to having more and more people be aware of the harms and danger that excessive drinking will cause to your life, and not really truly going through the feelings that are needing to be felt. And there's just so much growth that happens in this journey, and being able to learn about yourself and to be able to learn about you, and to have that camaraderie of sisterhood and sobriety all mixed and integrated into one is just such a beautiful experience. And I'm just happy that you came out here, and I love that you took the time to have this interview, podcast, whatever, YouTube thing, but I just loved it so much. Thank you for coming out here. Thank you guys so much for listening and tuning into the very first Sobriety Stories, and I'm so excited to hear what you think, how this helped you in any way, shape, or form. Please make sure to like, subscribe, and comment down below and let me know what you would like to see in the next video.